A broke 25-year-old woman, drowning in debt, accepts a shady gig for $5,000 show up as a blind date to a wealthy single dad CEO and make the evening an absolute nightmare. Spill drinks, act rude, ensure he never wants to date again. But as the night unfolds, something unexpected happens. Sparks fly, hearts connect, and what starts as sabotage spirals into true love. And a devastating revenge on the bitter ex who orchestrated it all. You won't believe how this ends. If you've ever felt used, betrayed, or just craved that perfect moment of justice against someone who tried to control your life, smash that like button now. Subscribe for more jaw-dropping Reddit revenge tales, and settle in. This one's going to leave you fist-pumping by the end. This story exploded on Reddit a while back, racking up thousands of upvotes for its mix of romance, betrayal, and ice-cold payback. I've expanded it here with all the emotional layers to make it hit harder like a roller coaster that starts in the pits of desperation and climbs to triumphant highs. Let's dive in. Meet our protagonist. Let's call her Mia. At 25, she was barely keeping her head above water in a dingy one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of Chicago. The air always smelled faintly of mildew, and the fluorescent kitchen light buzzed like an angry bee. Mia worked 2 jobs: a barista by day, freelance graphic designer by night. But it wasn't enough. Her mom's hospital bills from a brutal fight with breast cancer had piled up to over $50,000. And every collection call felt like a punch to the gut. Mia's hands would shake as she hung up the phone, her mind racing. How much longer can I hold this together? Mom needs me, but I'm breaking. She felt powerless, underestimated by a world that didn't care about her struggles. Betrayal? She'd known it her whole life via absent dad, flaky friends, but nothing prepared her for what came next. One late night, scrolling through shady online gigs on a site like Craigslist's darker corners, Mia spotted an ad: easy money, $5,000 to attend a blind date and ensure it goes horribly wrong. No experience needed, discretion required. Her stomach twisted. It screamed scam, but desperation whispered louder. She replied, and within hours, she was on a video call with the antagonist. Let's call her Vanessa, a sharp-featured woman in her late 30s with perfectly coiffed hair and eyes like daggers. Vanessa was the ex-wife of tech CEO Ethan Harlow, a 35-year-old self-made millionaire whose app empire had netted him billions. But Vanessa wasn't done with him. Their divorce had been messy. She'd lost big in the settlement because of her own infidelity, and now she seethed with resentment. Ethan had custody of their 4-year-old daughter, Lily, and Vanessa wanted to torpedo his life. He's moving on too fast, Vanessa hissed over the call, her voice dripping venom. I set up this blind date through a mutual friend. You'll pose as the match, be obnoxious, spill wine on him, talk endlessly about exes, make him miserable so he focuses on work and leaves dating behind. Then I swoop in, play the supportive ex, and get back what's mine: custody, alimony, everything. Mia's skin crawled at Vanessa's smug grin. But the money? It could pay off a chunk of those bills. Fine, Mia muttered, hating herself, internal monologue racing. This is wrong, but mom's chemo starts next week. What choice do I have? The setup escalated Mia's inner turmoil. Vanessa wired half the money up front, with instructions drilled in: wear something tacky, be late, complain non-stop. Mia arrived at the upscale Italian restaurant 20 minutes tardy, heart pounding, dressed in a gaudy sequin top she dug from the back of her closet. The place smelled of garlic and fresh basil, soft violin music playing over candlelit tables. Ethan was already there, tall and broad-shouldered in a tailored suit, his dark hair slightly tousled, scrolling his phone with a patient smile. His eyes lit up when she approached, the genuine warmth that threw her off. You must be Mia, he said, standing to pull out her chair. Short sentence tension. She sat, fumbled her napkin, knocked over a water glass on purpose. Water splashed across the table, soaking the breadbasket. Oops, she said flatly, forcing a rude tone. Clumsy me. But Ethan just chuckled, waving off the waiter with the kind "no worries, we've got it." As the night progressed, Mia ramped up the sabotage. She complained about the menu, everything so overpriced, don't you think? And talked loudly about fictional exes. My last guy was a total loser, always crying about his kid. Her cheeks burned with shame. This wasn't her. Internally, he's going to hate me. Good, get the money and go. But Ethan didn't bite. Instead, he leaned in, his voice steady and curious. Sounds tough. I get tighter. I'm a single dad myself. Lily's my world. But balancing CEO life and bedtime stories, it's a juggle. His eyes softened, sharing how his ex had cheated, leaving him to rebuild alone. Sensory details hit Mia. The warmth of the candle flame on her face, the rich taste of the pasta she barely touched, the way his colonious subtle wood and citrus cut through her nerves. Conflict escalated as Vanessa texted mid-date. How's it going? Make it worse. Mia tried harder. She accidentally spilled red wine on his shirt, watching the stain bloom like blood. God, sorry I'm not, she snapped, but her voice wavered. Ethan's response? He laughed deep, genuine rumbly and dabbed it with a napkin. Hey, it's just a shirt. Tell me about you. What do you do when you're not causing chaos? His teasing grin cracked her facade. Against her better judgment, Mia opened up a fraction about her art, her mom's illness. The words slipped out, her fists unclenching under the table. Ethan listened, really listened, sharing his own vulnerabilities, the loneliness of boardrooms, the joy of Lily's hugs. Tension built. Mia's heart raced, a mix of guilt and unexpected pull. This guy's kind, real. Why am I ruining this? By dessert, the sabotage felt forced. Ethan paid the bill without flinching, then walked her out, the cool night air brushing her skin. Despite the spills, I had fun, he said, eyes locking on hers. Second date? Mia froze, her phone buzzing with Vanessa's demands. But something snapped at the turning point. Powerlessness flipped to resolve. Screw this, I'm done being a pawn. She nodded. Yes. What followed was a whirlwind. Mia ghosted Vanessa at first, but the ex escalated to harassing texts, threats to expose her. He failed. Give the money back or else. Mia's fear morphed onto anger. Vanessa's entitlement was infuriating. A woman who cheated yet plotted to destroy Ethan's happiness for her gain. Mia confessed everything to Ethan on their third date, over coffee in his sleek penthouse. The city lights twinkled below, Lily asleep in the next room. Tears streamed down Mia's face as she spilled, I was paid to ruin you. Ethan's jaw clenched, betrayal flashing in his eyes, but then softened. That explains the wine, he joked, pulling her close. His arms felt safe, his heartbeat steady against hers. But you didn't ruin anything, you made it real. They fell hard. Nights of deep talks, days with Lily at parks, laughter echoing, internal determination. Vanessa thought she could control us. We'll show her. Revenge planning kicked in with dramatic pacing, short sentences, research, dig deep, expose. Ethan, with his resources, uncovered Vanessa's dirty falsified divorce talks, hidden affairs that could sway custody. Mia, fueled by validation, suggested the execution, a public gala for Ethan's company, where Vanessa would attend as a guest to schmooze. Long descriptive drama. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers, champagne fizzing, elites mingling in tuxes and gowns. Mia stood beside Ethan, radiant in a designer dress he gifted her, her hand in his. Vanessa approached, smirking. Ethan, darling, we need to talk, alone. Her voice was silky poison. Ethan smiled coldly. Actually, Vanessa, let's talk now. The moment arrived like a thunderclap. Ethan signaled, and a projector lit up the wall of emails, texts, bank transfers proving Vanessa's scheme to hire Mia for sabotage. The room fell silent. Gasps rippled as guests read the evidence. Vanessa's face drained of color, her manicured hands trembling. This is a lie, she stammered, voice cracking, eyes darting like a trapped animal. But the proof was ironclad. Her own words, ruin him for me. Ethan stepped forward, voice booming. You tried to break me, Vanessa, but you only brought me the best thing that's ever happened. Mia's chest swelled with triumph, relief washing over her like a warm wave. Validation hit hard. She wasn't powerless anymore. As security escorted Vanessa out amid whispers and stares, her reputation shattered. Custody hopes dashed. Ethan pulled Mia into a kiss. The crowd applauded. Her tears were joyful now. The weight of betrayal lifted. Justice served, hot and satisfying. Phew. Talk about turning poison into potion. This story shows how betrayal can backfire spectacularly when underestimated people fight back. Karma's got a funny way of rewriting endings. Sometimes, the best revenge is living your best life with someone who truly sees you, makes you think. What hidden strengths do we all have when pushed too far? The Chicago skyline glittered through the restaurant's floor-to-ceiling windows, casting a warm glow over the white tablecloths and polished silverware. Mia sat across from Ethan, her sequin dress scratching her skin, a garish choice that screamed Vanessa's instructions: make yourself unappealing. The air smelled of rosemary and roasted garlic, but Mia's stomach churned not from the food, but from the weight of her deception. Her hands trembled as she reached for her wine glass, deliberately tipping it to spill a crimson splash across Ethan's crisp white shirt. "Oh, crap, my bad," she said, her voice loud and forced, hoping to provoke irritation. But Ethan's hazel eyes crinkled with amusement. "It's just a shirt," he said, dabbing it with a napkin, his tone easy, like he was soothing his 4-year-old daughter, Lily. After a spill, Mia's heart thudded, a mix of shame and confusion. Why isn't he mad? She doubled down, following Vanessa's script. "This place is so overrated," she complained, her voice cutting through the soft murmur of other diners. "And the wine tastes like cheap grocery store junk." A waiter nearby flinched, but Ethan leaned forward, unfazed. "You're not wrong about pricey menus," he said, a playful edge to his voice. "But tell me something, Rella, what do you do when you're not critiquing 5-star restaurants?" His question caught her off guard, his gaze steady, like he saw past her act. Mia's fingers tightened around her fork, her mind racing. "Don't break, you need the money." But his sincerity cracked her armor. Against her better judgment, she let slip a truth. "I draw graphic design. Mostly helps me escape." Her cheeks flushed. She hadn't meant to share that. Ethan's face lit up. "An artist? That's incredible. I'm a tech guy, but I'm hopeless with a paintbrush. My daughter, though, she's 4 and already better than me." He chuckled, pulling out his phone to show a photo of Lily, a gap-toothed girl with paint-smeared cheeks, grinning beside a messy canvas. The night unraveled Mia's plan. Vanessa's text slid up her phone, tucked in her purse under the table. "Make it worse. Insult his kid or something." Mia's stomach twisted at the thought. She tried to pivot, rambling about a fictional ex who hated kids, but the words felt sour, her delivery faltering. Ethan didn't recoil. He shared his own story of how Vanessa's affair had shattered their marriage, leaving him to raise Lily alone while running a tech empire. "It's lonely at the top," he admitted, his voice low, fingers tracing the rim of his glass. "But Lily's my anchor." The vulnerability in his eyes mirrored Mia's own years of scrapping by, feeling invisible. Sensory details overwhelmed her: the clink of cutlery, the warmth of candlelight on her skin, the faint cedar of Ethan's cologne. Her sabotage crumbled. She couldn't keep up the charade. When he walked her out into the crisp night air, the city's hum fading behind them, he asked, "Second date? Maybe somewhere less spill-prone?" Mia's heart leapt, guilt and hope colliding. "Yeah," she said, barely a whisper. "What am I doing?" Days turned into weeks, and Mia's world shifted. She ignored Vanessa's increasingly frantic messages. "A year blowing this refined me." And met Ethan again, this time at a cozy diner, no pretense. The smell of frying bacon and fresh coffee grounded her as she confessed, her hands shaking around the chipped mug. "I was paid to ruin that first date," she admitted, tears welling. "Vanessa hired me to make you miserable." Ethan's jaw tightened, a flash of betrayal in his eyes, but he reached across the table, his hand warm over hers. "You didn't ruin anything," he said softly. "You made it real." Relief flooded Mia, her shoulders sagging as if a boulder had lifted. They kept seeing each other at picnics with Lily, late-night talks in Ethan's penthouse, the city skyline a glittering backdrop. Love bloomed, unexpected and fierce, like a flower pushing through concrete. Mia's internal monologue shifted. "I was her puppet, but no more. Vanessa's going to regret this." Vanessa's harassment escalated, venomous voicemails threatening to expose Mia's scam to Ethan's elite circle. Mia's fear morphed into fury. Vanessa's entitlement was suffocating. A woman who'd betrayed Ethan yet schemed to control his future for her own gain and custody of Lily. A bigger alimony cut. Ethan, with his resources, dug into Vanessa's past, uncovering falsified divorce documents and hidden affairs that could tip the custody battle. Mia, fueled by a craving for justice, devised the plan, expose Vanessa at Ethan's company gala, a high-profile event packed with Chicago's elite. The stakes were high, the tension palpable. Mia spent nights pacing her tiny apartment, the radiators hiss a constant reminder of her old life. She thought she could use me to break him, will break her instead. The gala was a spectacle, chandeliers casting prisms over a marble ballroom, the air thick with perfume and ambition. Mia stood beside Ethan, radiant in a sapphire gown he'd gifted her, her dark hair swept up, confidence masking the butterflies in her stomach. Her fingers brushed his, a silent anchor. Vanessa arrived, sleek in a red dress, her smile predatory as she approached. "Ethan, darling," she purred, ignoring Mia. "We need to discuss Lily privately." Her voice was all honey and knives, her eyes flicking to Mia with disdain. Ethan's hand tightened around Mia's, his smile cold. "No, Vanessa, let's talk now." The room's chatter faded, heads turned, Mia's pulse thundered, her palms sweaty, but she stood tall. "This is it," Ethan added to an assistant, and a massive screen lit up behind them, projected for all to see. Vanessa's emails to Mia, bank transfers for the $5,000, texts demanding sabotage make him hate dating. The crowd gasped, murmurs rippling like wildfire. Vanessa's face paled, her lips parting in shock. "This is fake," she shrieked, her voice shrill, hands clutching her clutch like a lifeline. But the evidence was damning of her own words, her scheme laid bare. Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady but laced with fury. "You tried to manipulate me, Vanessa. You used Mia to hurt me, but you failed." He turned to Mia, his eyes softening. "She's my partner now, in every way. You're done." Mia's chest swelled, triumph surging like electricity. The humiliation Vanessa had planned for Ethan now swallowed her whole, her reputation in tatters, her custody hopes crushed as lawyers in the room took note. Security escorted Vanessa out, her heels clicking frantically, her protests drowned by the crowd's whispers. Mia exhaled, relief washing over her like a warm tide. She'd been a tool, a means to an end, but now she stood as Ethan's equal, validated by love and justice. He pulled her close, his lips brushing her forehead. "We did it," he whispered. The crowd erupted in applause, sensing the drama's weight. Mia's tears were of joy now, the powerlessness of her past life a fading shadow. She'd been paid to ruin him, but together, they'd built something unbreakable. Months later, Mia moved into Ethan's penthouse, her art studio a vibrant corner filled with canvases that told her story of pain, love, triumph. Lily called her Mimi, her tiny hands smearing paint during weekend art sessions. Ethan proposed at a quiet lakeside dinner, the ring glinting under moonlight. Vanessa faded into obscurity, her legal battles failing, her social circles shunning her. Mia's mom's treatment continued, funded by Ethan's foundation, and Mia launched a design firm. Her work featured in galleries. The betrayal that had once defined her became a footnote, overshadowed by a life she'd never dared dream. "Karma paints with bold strokes," she thought, brushing color onto a new canvas. Ethan and Lily laughing nearby. Justice wasn't just served, it was a masterpiece. The Manhattan skyline shimmered below the rooftop restaurant, a constellation of lights stretching into the night. Sophie stood at the edge of the terrace, her cheap pink dress catching the breeze, its sequins glinting like a warning sign. The air carried the scent of rosemary from the plates of passing waiters and the faint tang of city exhaust. Her heart hammered as she adjusted her purse, where her phone buzzed with Cassandra's latest text. "Be unbearable, spill something else." Sophie's fingers tightened around the strap, her palms clammy. She'd already tipped a glass of Merlot onto the linen tablecloth, the red stain spreading like a wound. Nathan had barely blinked, his deep voice calm as he told the waiter, "No trouble, accidents happen." Now, as she returned to their table, his eyes met hers, warm, curious, not a hint of irritation. "He's supposed to hate me by now," she thought, her stomach twisting with guilt. "Why isn't this working?" She sat, crossing her arms to seem standoffish, and launched into another scripted rant. "This place is so pretentious. she said loudly, hoping to draw glares from nearby diners. Overpriced food for snobs who think they're special. Her voice sounded hollow even to her, the words clashing with the soft jazz drifting from hidden speakers. Nathan leaned back, a faint smile playing on his lips. "You're not wrong about the prices," he said, his tone light. "But the view's worth it, don't you think? Makes you feel like the city's yours for a night." He gestured to the skyline, his hand steady, a silver watch catching the candlelight. Sophie faltered, her resolve cracking. His ease, his lack of judgment, it was disarming. "Don't get sucked in," her mind warned. "You need the money. Dad needs you." Cassandra's instructions echoed. "Talk about exes, be annoying." Sophie tried, spinning a tale about a fake boyfriend who ghosted me after stealing my TV. Her delivery was stiff, her cheeks burning as she avoided Nathan's gaze. But he didn't recoil. Instead, he leaned forward, elbows on the table, his colonia a mix of cedar and bergamot cutting through her nerves. "Sounds like a rough one," he said, voice gentle. "I've had my share of bad breaks too. My ex, Cassandra, she left me and our son, Max, for someone else. Took a while to rebuild." His openness stunned her, a raw honesty that mirrored her own hidden pain. Sensory details flooded her senses, the clink of wine glasses, the warmth of the candle flame flickering between them, the way his fingers brushed the stem of his glass, steady where hers shook. "He's not supposed to be this human." Against her will, Sophie let slip a truth. "I get it. My dad's sick of heart issues. I'm working myself to death to pay the bills." Her voice cracked, and she cursed herself for breaking character. Nathan's eyes softened, no pity, just understanding. "That's heavy," he said. "Max is my world, but I can't imagine juggling that with medical debt." "You're strong, Sophie." The compliment hit like a wave, warm and unexpected. Her fingers unclenched under the table, her shoulders easing for the first time that night. "This is wrong. I'm supposed to ruin him, not like him." But the sabotage felt impossible now. She ignored Cassandra's buzzing texts, her resolve shifting with every shared laugh, every glance that lingered too long. When dessert arrived, a shared tiramisu, dusted with cocoa, and Nathan teased, "Try not to launch this at me." Sophie laughed, a real one, her chest lightening. By the time he walked her to the elevator, the city's hum a soft backdrop, he asked, "Can I see you again?" "Somewhere less eventful." Her heart leapt, guilt and hope colliding. "Yeah," she whispered, knowing she'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. The next weeks were a whirlwind of stolen moments. Sophie ghosted Cassandra's demands, her phone piling up with threats. "You're screwing this up. Refund me or I'll ruin you." Fear nodded her, but Nathan's presence grounded her. Their second date was at a quiet Brooklyn cafe. Tilde copyright, the air thick with espresso and cinnamon. She confessed everything over steaming lattes, her hands trembling around the mug. "Cassandra paid me to make you miserable," she admitted, tears stinging her eyes. "I needed the money for my dad." Nathan's jaw tightened, a flicker of betrayal in his gaze, but he reached across the table, his hand warm over hers. "You didn't ruin anything," he said, voice steady. "You made it real." Relief crashed over her, her breath hitching as she squeezed his hand. They fell fast afternoon walks with Max, who clutched Sophie's hand and babbled about dinosaurs. Late night talks in Nathan's penthouse, the city lights a glittering canvas below. Love bloomed, fierce and unexpected, like sunlight breaking through a storm. Cassandra's harassment intensified, a voicemails laced with venom, threats to smear Sophie as a con artist. Sophie's fear turned to fury. Cassandra's entitlement was suffocating. A woman who cheated on Nathan yet schemed to control his happiness for her own gain and custody of Max, a bigger slice of his wealth. Nathan, with his real estate empire's resources, dug into Cassandra's past, uncovering shady financial moves and lies during their divorce. Sophie, fueled by a craving for justice, proposed the plan, expose Cassandra at Nathan's annual charity gala, a glitzy event packed with New York's elite. Nights in her apartment, the radiator hissing, Sophie plotted with Nathan, her resolve stealing. "She thought she could use me to break him." We'll turn her game against her. The gala was a spectacle, crystal chandeliers casting rainbows over a marble ballroom, the air heavy with perfume and ambition. Sophie stood beside Nathan, radiant in an emerald gown he'd gifted her, her dark hair swept up, confidence masking the butterflies in her stomach. Her fingers brushed his, a silent anchor. Max was with a sitter, but his crayon drawings were in her purse, a reminder of their new family. Cassandra arrived, sleek in black silk, her smile predatory as she approached. "Nathan, we need to talk about Max," she said, her voice syrupy, ignoring Sophie. "You're not yourself lately." Nathan's hand tightened around Sophie's, his smile icy. "Actually, Cassandra, let's talk now." The room's chatter faded, heads turned. Sophie's pulse thundered, her palms sweaty, but she stood tall. "Here it comes," Nathan signaled, and a massive screen lit up behind them, projected for all to see. Cassandra's emails to Sophie, bank records of the $6,000 payment, texts demanding Sabotage make him swear off women. The crowd gasped, whispers rippling like wildfire. Cassandra's face drained of color, her lips parting in a silent scream. "This is a setup," she shrieked, her voice cracking, hands clutching her purse like lifeline. But the evidence was ironclad. Her own words, her plot exposed. Nathan stepped forward, his voice booming. "You tried to manipulate me, Cassandra. You hired Sophie to destroy my night, but you failed." He turned to Sophie, his eyes warm. "She's my future now." "You're nothing." Sophie's chest swelled, triumph surging like a tidal wave. The humiliation Cassandra had planned for Nathan now consumed her. Her social standing shattered, her custody hopes dashed as lawyers in the room took notes. Security escorted Cassandra out, her heels clicking frantically, her protests drowned by the crowd's murmurs. Sophie exhaled, relief washing over her like a warm breeze. She'd been a tool, a means to an end, but now she stood as Nathan's partner, validated by love and justice. He pulled her close, his lips brushing her temple. "We did it," he whispered. The crowd erupted in applause, sensing the drama's weight. Sophie's tears were of joy, the powerlessness of her past life a fading memory. She'd been hired to ruin him, but together, they'd built something unbreakable. Months later, Sophie moved into Nathan's penthouse, her dad's treatment fully funded by Nathan's foundation. Her design work flourished, her art featured in galleries, her name synonymous with resilience. Max called her Sophie Mom, his hugs a daily gift. Nathan proposed under a starlit Central Park sky, the ring glinting like a promise. Cassandra faded into obscurity, her legal battles failing, her elite circle shunning her. Sophie's life, once defined by betrayal and debt, was now a canvas of love and triumph. "Karma plays dirty," she thought, sketching Max's smile in her studio, Nathan's laughter echoing nearby. Justice wasn't just served, it was a masterpiece. At 24, Sophie was drowning in a sea of debt and despair. Her tiny Brooklyn apartment reeked of damp plaster, the walls paper thin against the clamor of her neighbors. Her father's heart surgery had left her with $70,000 in medical bills, and her waitressing job barely covered rent. Each night, she'd collapse onto her lumpy mattress, her hands shaking from exhaustion, her mind screaming, "I can't keep doing this." Desperation led her to a sketchy online gig, $6,000 to pose as a blind date for a millionaire and make the evening a disaster. The client, a woman named Cassandra, was venomous over a grainy video call. She was the ex-girlfriend of Nathan Cole, a 36-year-old real estate mogul with the penthouse empire. "He's moving on too fast," Cassandra spat, her perfectly manicured nails tapping the screen. "Ruin his night, be rude, embarrassing, make him hate dating. I'll get him back where he belongs." Sophie's gut twisted, but the money could save her dad. Just one night, she thought, agreeing to the deal, her conscience heavy as lead. The date was at a rooftop restaurant, all glass and city lights. Sophie arrived late, heart pounding, in a garish pink dress Cassandra had sent. Nathan waited at a candlelit table, his tailored suit sharp, his blue eyes kind but guarded. She tripped over a chair on purpose, knocking over a wine glass. "Whoops," she said, voice brash. Nathan just smiled, mopping it up with his napkin. Her attempts to be awful at complaining about the food, droning about fake excess flopped. He shared stories of his 5-year-old son, Max, and his own heartbreak after Cassandra's betrayal. His warmth cracked her facade. By the end, Sophie's act dissolved. She felt seen, not judged. When he asked for another date, Her yes slipped out before she could stop it. What have I done? Her mind raced, but something felt right.